And we welcome you into the Unrivaled Weekly Preview Show. One last go at Beaver Stadium this weekend at 12 noon on Saturday. 12th ranked Penn State welcomes Rutgers for Senior Day. The Nittany Lions and Scarlet Knights get together as Big Ten play continues. Brian Tripp, delighted to be with you from the Lasch Football Building tonight. Jason Cabinda coming up, as always, the former Nittany Lion great, to join us here on our show tonight. We'll hear from Hunter Nourad and Keaton Ellis, a couple of seniors ahead of Senior Day. But as always, we kick it off as well with head coach James Franklin as he's set to address the media here on this Wednesday.
Yeah. Danny will have the quarterbacks. Rob Smith will be on the headsets in the booth.
Who is, in terms of play calling on Saturday, have you determined, like you said, both guys are involved, but who will actually call the plays on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. We got two guys that are both be involved with calling the offense.
James, how have you seen Drew respond to this practice week thus far?
It's been great. Yeah, he's been really good. The guys thought we had a good practice tonight. I thought the quarterbacks have been good. Drew's been good.
James, outside of the win, what type of an experience do you hope the seniors have on Saturday?
Yeah, obviously I hope a great one. I hope it's a great environment. I hope the fans show their appreciation for all the hard work that these guys have put in, representing the university the right way, both on and off the field. So yeah, I'd love for them to get a feel for the sense of appreciation that we have for them, play well, get a win, all those things included.
James, what went into that decision to put Rob Smith on the headset?
Just one of our most experienced guys. He's been a defensive coordinator at Duke. He's been a defensive coordinator at Rutgers. He's been a defensive coordinator at Minnesota. Just a very experienced guy that we think can bring a lot of value for us.
Recruiting question for you. I know with the new portal rules, when a head coach leaves or fire or whatever, the portal opens for that team. Now that a couple of head coaches have been fired, how much attention do you pay those players who are now hitting the portal in the middle of the season?
Yeah, that's where the staff, the recruiting staff, kind of handles that. Based on the rules that you just explained, we're aware, and obviously we're tracking that, and we have the recruiting staff kind of handling that, whether the coaches are focused on normal game planning, normal prep.
James, you mentioned maybe being in every single meeting with the quarterbacks. Does your week look a little bit different in terms of your offensive involvement, or maybe some of where you are at certain times of the day? Yeah,
I've been in the quarterback meetings with Danny. Danny's done a great job, so I've had more of a presence in there. Been more vocal in the offensive meetings. Ty and Jaywan have done a phenomenal job. It's been very collaborative with everybody in the room, really all week long. I think that's been a real positive. Players have been great as well, not only from a game planning perspective, but also getting up in front of the team, whether it's in a team meeting or post practice. The guys have been great. So. I've been very pleased with how they've handled it.
How do you think that collaboration will change things for you guys Saturday on your offense?
Well, we'll see. I mean, obviously, we'll find out for sure on Saturday. But I've been pleased with the process and how the coaches have approached it throughout the week, and all the voices in the room speaking up and giving opinions. And you bring an idea up, and everybody kind of thoroughly investigates it and checks the film to see if it makes sense, and then move forward or not. And I think it's been a real healthy dialogue in there, and we'll see what that equates to on Saturday. But I've been pleased with the process. I felt good about the process and the prep.
James, focusing on one senior specifically, you've spent the last 5 years with Keaton Ellis. How has he grown during the time that you spent with him?
Yeah, obviously a local guy that we've known for a long time, and came to camp, and his dad actually was working on campus when I first got here in the athletic department. Really had a really good senior year in the recruiting process as both a wide receiver and a defensive back, and then was able to come in here with maturity and play, and he's kind of seen it all. He's had the full experience in terms of COVID, academics, success, adversity, and handled it all, with class. And it's been phenomenal. I think you guys have heard me talk about, He's graduated from here multiple times, went to the preschool on campus. There's pictures of him, graduating with the preschool. I always see those kids walking around campus that are all kind of tied up together on a rope. I think Keaton was one of those guys. So pretty cool.
Are we going to see Trey at all in the next 10 days?
I'm not sure what you're asking. Trey Wallace. Yeah, we won't see him this week, but I'm not sure after that.
You mentioned that collaboration. Is that different than how things were earlier this season?
I think it's been more collaborative. I think it's been more. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Some people break up into separate rooms so you don't get group think. You get different ideas. There's a lot of ways to do it. A lot of people do it different ways. We've done it different, obviously since the change, and I do think it's been really collaborative and been really good discussions and healthy dialogue and healthy confrontations, about different ideas and subjects, and I think it's been good, and there's been hours put on. We're obviously down a man, so there's been a lot of hours put in. Guys here early and stay until late, and I think J1 and Ty have just done a really good job. There's been some adjustments and things that have been made. They've been organized. They've done a really good job. They've done a really good job.
James, that's a really young quarterback's room for you. How have those guys handled going through this sort of situation?
Yeah, again, I think it goes back to what I tried to say to you guys before. It's not that we're trying to, hold information from you guys, but I want to be able to have healthy dialogue and conversations rather than you just read something online and you don't understand and it's shocking and you can't talk it through. That's to me when it becomes problematic, or as a leader, you're not communicative and you don't talk it through and explain and talk to the parents and talk to the high school coach and talk to the trainers and talk to the guys. But it's been good. I mean, they've handled it well. Obviously it's a tough situation, but they've handled it well, and I think also they got a ton of respect for Danny, and Danny's been with those guys, a lot of them through the recruiting process and afterwards. So I think that helped. If it would have been somebody completely new coming into that room that hadn't been with them, I think that could have been more challenging.
James, we saw Keaton Ellis plays extensively as he has in his college career this past Saturday. I'm curious what you were able to glean from his extensive run out there, and what you'd like to see from him during the final stretch of his second year.
Yeah, he's done some nice things. There's been flashes in practice, and there's been flashes in some games where he's done some nice things. Again, it's back to consistency. I know you guys get sick of me saying that, but it's back to consistency. And the other thing is the work that he has done in the weight room, I think has really helped him. But he's still an undersized guy, so getting as strong as he possibly can and be as explosive as he possibly can. Like I think back to KJ, KJ was undersized, but was one of our better blockers, was fiercely competitive and wiry, strong. So if you're an undersized guy, you got to, be willing and able to do some of those things. And I think he's growing in those areas. Yeah, just, we get very few opportunities, so to take advantage of every single one of them. And then, our players talk a lot about when they come here, either as a freshman or a transfer, how good from a cultural standpoint that our vets are with the young guys. And it's not like that every place. Our guys do a really good job of that. So I think there's a, pretty consistent sense of appreciation throughout the locker room for those guys and wanting to send them out the right way. It's an emotional day. It's kind of a weird day since COVID because it's not as black and white as it used to be for some guys. But I think there's a sense of appreciation of sending those guys out the right way out of our stadium, our last game in Beaver Stadium, not our last game overall. But I think there's a sense of appreciation and respect for those guys.
Your role in the offense the last 10 years has always been sort of ambiguous to certain people that are not in the building. If you're interviewing me for the offensive coordinator job, what are you telling me your role is throughout the week with the offense, and what are you telling me that your role is on game day?
Yeah, I don't think it's been ambiguous. I think
But I think people interpret failure as it must come back to you, whereas autonomy or other things might feed into that more than what you're doing.
Yeah, I guess a couple things. I think, as we all know, and it's pretty obvious, I'm ultimately responsible for everything. So I get that and take full responsibility. But I've also said on multiple times that I want a head coach of special teams, I want a head coach of offense, I want a head coach of defense, I want a head coach of the tight ends, and I want them to approach it that way. I want them to create a room or a side of the ball that's high production and low maintenance. I'm there to support whenever possible. I'm there to bring perspective whenever possible. But I've been very clear about how we run it and how I'm not running the defense, I'm not running the offense, I'm not running the special teams. I'm involved in all those things, but I'm also involved in academics. I'm also involved in fundraising. I'm also involved in recruiting. I'm involved in every aspect of the program. And when you do it that way and you're not in one area, I need Andy Frank to run the recruiting department, and I rely on him to do that. I need academics run like that. So I think I've been very, very clear on that. But I also want to be very clear. I also understand that ultimately I'm responsible for all of it. So if that's been ambiguous in the past, I hope that clears it up. And that's what I'm looking for moving forward. And that's what I've stated very clearly in the past. Strength and conditioning. I want Chuck Losey to be the head coach of strength and conditioning and run that. And he has done a phenomenal job. Manny's done a phenomenal job. Stacy, I've been very impressed and pleased with our improvement from the beginning of the season to now. We've improved dramatically on special teams. Our specialists have been more consistent. Am I hands-on with special teams? Yes, but Stacy's the head coach of special teams. So I appreciate the question, and I hope that clarifies any ambiguity that may be out there.
Last one.
James, you've spoken really highly of Danny since he's been here. What is it about him and his traits that gives you the trust that right now he's ready to step into this role?
Well, I think first of all, he played the position at a high level. He had adversity that he had to overcome. He had a chance to play professionally for a number of years. He coached professionally. The fact that he played for me and we kind of see the game in a similar way, and he understands kind of how we operate culturally. He understands the recruiting process. I recruited him. I went to his home. I went to his high school. I know his high school coach very well. I know his parents very well. So there's a trust there personally, and there's a trust there professionally. And the other thing with him, which I'm drawn to these type of guys, he loves football. Like, he's sending me stuff all the time that he's seen, that he saw, whether it's on social media or an NFL game or another college game. He's constantly studying ball and trying to find ways, the best way to teach things to make it simplistic for the quarterback and for the offense, but still challenging for the defense. And the fact that he's not so far removed, I think he's got a really good rapport and way to connect with our players as well as recruits. And he works at it, so I got a ton of respect for him, and I'm biased because I've known him for a long time, but I think the staff feels in a similar way, and I know the players feel that way. Drew came to see me specifically about him, when this all went down, to make sure his feelings were crystal clear on Danny.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Head coach James Franklin on this Wednesday addressing the media inside Haluba Hall on this chilly Wednesday evening. Penn State and Rutgers, the matchup coming up on FS1 at noon from Beaver Stadium. It is senior day on Saturday. Brian Tripp live inside the Lasch Building here tonight, joined by former Nittany Lion Jason Cabinda, as we are each and every Wednesday. And Jason, we just heard from Coach Franklin there. It's great to have you back, first of all, but also hear from Coach Franklin there. There's some moving parts, some noise, but as a player going into senior day, knowing you have another opportunity, and they're far and few between, to play at Beaver Stadium, the focus has to be on what the task is ahead so you can end the season with back-to-back wins and the focus going 1-0 again this week.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's a huge game for the seniors. Obviously, anytime you have a senior day, it's big. You know, it's your last one. You want to show out. You want to get a win. You want to go out the right way, all those things. But at the end of the day, you got to find a way to also compartmentalize all those things and all the distractions, everything that's going on the outside, and find a way to focus in on this game, focus in on what they got to do, what your role is, and how you can be the best player, the best you for your team.
Well, we heard Coach talk about their consistency as a former player here in college football, playing in the NFL. It seems like such a simple thing to be consistent. What does it take to be consistent week to week, play to play, to give a full 60 minutes out there on the field on a Saturday?
You know, being that I played for Coach Franklin, the consistency thing is one thing he really taught me. And I think to me, it's really all about being process oriented. You know, it's all about what are you doing on Monday? What are you doing on Tuesday? Are you getting in the film? Are you getting your body right? You know, if you take care of each day and everything that needs to be done on each day, then the game's going to take care of itself. You know, you go out there, you practice hard. You know, coach does a really good job making sure the practices are harder than the game so that when the game comes around, it comes easy. And I think he's really done a good job of establishing that system, making sure that everybody on the team knows those core values that he preaches every single day. And, you know, that's our mantra. That's how we play the game. That's how we approach everything.
They're behind me on the wall right over here inside the team meeting room at the Lasch Building tonight. Jason, one last thing, then we'll get Keaton Ellis coming up, Hunter Nourad coming up on the show tonight. We'll dive into our key players and key players to watch for both teams. But as they look to focus and bounce back, you know that every game is so important. But to play inside Beaver Stadium with those opportunities, as I said before, far and few between, what does the opportunity to play on that home field in front of the Penn State fans, what the fans can mean? How would you describe that opportunity that's ahead of these seniors coming up on Saturday?
I mean, being that I've played in the league, you know, 6 years now, I've played at plenty of stadiums in my career, and I harp on this all the time. Beaver Stadium is a super, super special place. There's absolutely nothing like it. Like I said, the fans at Beaver Stadium, they don't come to watch the show. They come to be the show. So that's why you gotta go out there and you got to show out. You know, you got to give them something to cheer about. And I think these guys are going to be pumped up. Obviously, we're coming off a loss against Michigan. You know, it's going to be important that they go out there and they hit that reset button and come back and really go out and show what they're about and who they are as a team. And I believe they're going to do that against Rutgers.
Well, that's a great transition as you talk about game day at Beaver Stadium, our game week coverage schedule beginning here on this Wednesday with the Unrivaled weekly preview show. Of course, Thursday, the Penn State Coaches Show coming up from the Field Burger and Tap, and then a very, very busy Saturday as well. It all begins, the parking lots open bright and early at 7 a.m. and then kick off at noon between the Nittany Lions and the Scarlet Knights coming up at noon on Saturday from Beaver Stadium. And we're joined by one of the seniors who will be recognized at Beaver Stadium on Saturday, Keaton Ellis. And Jason was just talking about the ability to bounce back. How has the team approached this week of practice, knowing that you have another opportunity ahead? And I know you're looking forward to it on Saturday against Rutgers.
Yeah, you know, that's it right there. It's another opportunity for us. And, you know, especially us older guys, you know, and especially as leaders too, is, you know, make sure the guys understand that you can't take, you know, playing in Beaver Stadium for granted. And, you know, the biggest thing, you know, over the course of the season for us is continue to get better each week, regardless win or loss. So that's really been our main focus. Continue to get better, not only individually but collectively, and, you know, just keep making strides each week.
As a State College guy, I know we've talked about some of your best memories going to games before, and I know some of those are watching this guy right here, Jason Cabinda.
Yeah, you know, you talk about being a hometown kid. I mean, we got guys from Jersey, we got guys from Maryland, really all over. What does it mean for you to suit up for a school that, you know, you've really been in the backyard for quite some time, that you grew up seeing and really grew up being around? What does that mean to you to suit up for the Nittany Lions?
Yeah, you know, it's truly been a blessing, and, you know, everything that I could have asked for. And, you know, to have that spark as a young kid, you know, growing up around here and watching, you know, guys like Jason, you know, out there flying around and making plays, it was only, you know, motivation for me. You know, as, you know, you look up to those guys, and, you know, I wanted to be that. So, you know, it took a lot of hard work as a kid and growing up through high school and stuff. So, just it was really truly a blessing to know that, my motivation and the work that I put in, it was able to make my dream come true, which was to play here.
We've asked you this plenty of times. I know Marcus Allen is one of them with that number 2, but some of your favorite Penn State players through the years, and it's okay if you say your dad here as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, number 1 got to go to the Pops. He back in the day, 70s. But, I would say, and I think for me, too, is the experiences I've made with, the guys that I've played with, that goes a long way. So there's the list is, too long to name. Just to know guys on a personal level and obviously see them make big plays out there and, on Saturdays is awesome, too.
Obviously your dad has played against plenty of great players. I know you've played against plenty of great players, but, as a defense, being that you guys are playing Rutgers as a quarterback that's a running quarterback, that can be an issue for defense sometimes. Going into a game against a guy like Gavin Wimsatt, what do you guys have to do as a defense to stop him from making those plays with his legs?
It's really he's an extra running back. So when we're fitting the run game, they use the back as an extra blocker a lot with them. So just making sure that we're fitting things up right, and just be mindful. You got to understand that they're gonna allow him to run the ball a lot in this game. Just be mindful of that, and making sure everybody's reads are right, and keeping a good eye on your keys and trusting your keys too. That leads to stopping that QB run game.
I'm glad Jason asked about the run defense right there. What do you feel has made the run defense so strong all year? As really that's one of the areas people are talking about coming into the season, but you can obviously tell the strides that the team has made in that department.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, that we lean on is trust. Especially defensively, you got to have trust that the man next to you is going to do their job, and I think that's really what has really allowed us to have success this year. Is everybody trusting for everybody to do their job, and then the plays are going to come. That's how the football works. Someone gonna make a play, but you got to trust that the man next to you is going to do their job, and I think we've really done a good job of that this season.
I know for us, anytime, we came off of a tough loss or something of that nature, we really did a good job of making sure that we hit that reset button. What has Manny Diaz and Coach Franklin kind of done for you guys this week that has helped you guys to kind of hit that reset button and be able to focus back in and go 1-0 this week against Rutgers?
Yeah, just continue to drive our motivation, and the motivation is for us to get better, and we were still trying to chase, especially being a great defense and one of the best defenses in the country. So that's still a goal out there for us, and just continue to stay motivated and play for your why, and that's been a big message, is play for your why. Everyone's got it. It's different for everybody, but if whether it's the love of the game, family, whatnot, NFL, regardless of what it is, play for that, and play for your brothers, and especially us seniors, going in, Beaver Stadium for the last time, that's all the motivation, you need right there.
You've gone to so many games as a fan. You've gone and played in so many big games here now. What do you think that moment's going to be like on Senior Day on Saturday?
Yeah, man, I can't tell you. It's going to be a whirlwind of emotion. So, it's going to – whatever I'm feeling in that moment at that time is going to be that. But definitely a lot of emotion, bittersweet. It's been a long journey, and just thankful for, all the moments, and, good, bad, indifferent, I learn a lot here. And, I just appreciate Coach Franklin and the coaching staff, throughout the years, being there for me and being a support system, and, just thankful that I was able to, play at the highest level.
60 minutes to create more memories on Saturday. Keaton, good luck on Saturday. Appreciate the time as always.
Thank you.
Penn State safety Keaton Ellis joining us here on the Unrivaled weekly preview show ahead of Penn State and Rutgers coming up on Saturday at Beaver Stadium, as the Nittany Lions and Scarlet Knights will meet for what will be the 34th time. Penn State has won 16 in a row. Again, you're watching the Unrivaled weekly preview show here on this Wednesday. Let us know where you're watching from. Leave your comments. Let us know where you're watching from tonight. We always love to see that. Coach Franklin will be at the Penn State Coaches Show tomorrow out at the field. That starts at 6 o'clock. You can hear that on the Penn State Sports Network. And then on Saturday, our game day begins with the parking lots opening at 7 a.m. 8 a.m., the block party begins. Live music from Velveeta again this week. Team arrival at 10 a.m. And then 10:30, our radio coverage begins out at the Unrivaled weekly preview show here tonight inside the Lasch Football Building. Brian Tripp, great to be with you here. We're joined joined by Penn State offensive lineman Hunter Nourad, Jason Cabinda joining us as well remotely here tonight. And Hunter, Keaton just talked about the focus and the emphasis on another opportunity inside Beaver Stadium this Saturday. What are you looking forward to most about being back inside Beaver Stadium one last time?
There's a lot of stuff to look forward to. I think the biggest thing is just the atmosphere and the energy that the fans bring. I feel like playing here is a really special place with the culture, not just around the team, but also just the entire program and the fan base. So just kind of that energy that the fans bring every weekend is just electric to be in.
Yeah, we were talking to Keaton earlier. We talked about coming off a tough loss and kind of what the coaches are doing for you guys to reset this week. And he said that they're doing a good job of motivating you guys, making sure you guys remember what your why is. As players, we all have our why. I know for me, that was my mother, all the sacrifices that she made in order for me to be in the position that I'm in today. I want to ask you, what is your why?
That's a great question. I've definitely put a lot of thought into that. Some of it's personal, but just kind of one of the things that I can share is I think being entrenched in something for so long and knowing that you've put so much time and energy into it, you just want to keep going and just see where you can go, try to get to the top, be the best you can be. And so every day I'm trying to master my craft, and that's kind of one of the things that keeps me going is just I know that I can always get better no matter what, and just kind of keeping my eye on being the best I can be.
Obviously an opportunity here now at Penn State to play at the highest level. What has this opportunity, as you talk about how important football is to you, what has this opportunity to play here at this level meant to you?
It means a lot just getting to kind of be exposed to a bigger program, with a lot of fans, and there's a lot of eyes on it, and just the energy that comes with that. One thing I will say is that football is football, but when you get up to this level, it's a lot more intense, and there's a lot more eyes on you, and just kind of that it kind of creates a sense of just knowing that you need to be the best you can be. And I think that it means a lot to me to get the opportunity to play here, the opportunities I've had for the past 2 seasons, and it's been great.
Well, it's been very clear, man, that you guys have been taking advantage of every opportunity you guys have had, especially as an O-line unit in general. I harp on you guys every single week about how much I love this O-line unit and the way you guys are blocking for Katron and for Nick. Now, I want to ask, being that this is really the most success that Penn State O-line unit has had in a while, what do you feel like has been the biggest contributing factor to that?
I think one of the biggest factors is the culture that the room has kind of created within itself. There's a culture that everybody's helping each other no matter what. Obviously there's still a competitive nature at each position, but the way that everybody is very open and very willing to help the younger guys develop, help the person directly below them develop, has created this situation where, if something happens and somebody else needs to go in, they're ready to go in, and also builds a sense of trust between the 5 guys that are out there at the same time.
I'm glad you mentioned that because you look outside the starting 5, you're playing 6, 7, 8 offensive linemen every game. But the fans probably want to know, you talk about some of those younger guys. It's a very highly touted freshman class as well. For the guys that the fans don't get to see week to week, how is that development for a guy like Javen going on behind the scenes? What's impressed you about those younger guys that you're mentoring and working with in that room?
I think the biggest thing that's impressed me is just kind of their emotional maturity for being so young. They're all very humble, even when you take into account the kind of the hype that almost all of them were given when you come in, especially when you're in high school and you're getting all the stars and stuff like that. And just the fact that they have that humility and they allow themselves to be coached and allow themselves to be coached by the coaches and the players themselves, I think it's really impressive.
Hey, you talk about young guys. Obviously, Drew Aller is one of those young guys in that room. Obviously, he's doing his best to come into his own as a leader, but who are some of the older guys that kind of also help to lead the offense and be strong voices in that room? And to what capacity, does that leadership show on the offensive side of the ball for you guys?
I think your go-tos are Olu and Theo. Olu's a very stoic person. I don't know if you guys can tell that from when you're watching, but he's very stoic. So when he speaks, it carries a lot of weight, and his passion will show when he's passionate about something and he's passionate about football. So he really brings weight when he speaks. Theo is very energetic. He's a great guy to have around because he's always, no matter what position group it is on the offensive side of the ball, he's always pushing and always kind of motivating people to do their best. You drop that ball, hey, get over it. We got another play to go.
How do you think those messages especially going into the opportunity you have on Saturday, senior day, the opportunity to play inside Beaver Stadium, trying to go 1-0 again this week. All of that leadership, how important has that been throughout the course of this week so you can flip the page to Rutgers?
I mean, I think it's just been very important. With all the things that were preached by the coaches, it trickles down, and we all believe in it very strongly. So the stuff that you guys have heard before, but just focus on this week. Going 1-0. Obviously, you have to look back and fix the things week by week that you need to fix from the previous game. But as soon as that page is flipped, it's all hands on deck to win that next week.
Well, Keaton was just talking about that as well. We'll let you go after this, Hunter. The opportunity of senior day. Do you have any idea what those emotions are going to be like on Saturday? Is it something before the game you compartmentalize, then after the game kind of soak it all in with 60 minutes to create memories at Beaver Stadium?
I honestly have no idea what I'm going to feel like. We'll see. I do a good job compartmentalizing things, but there's sometimes that emotion trickles in. So We'll see what happens. It's a really emotional place to play. It's a great place to play. So we'll see what happens.
Hunter, really appreciate it. As always, good luck on Saturday.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hunter Nourad joining us here on the Unrivaled Weekly Preview Show ahead of Penn State and Rutgers noon on Saturday from Beaver Stadium. It is airing on FS1. Let's dive into our key players to watch for this week's matchup. And Jason was just talking about a moment ago. Keaton Ellis, the ability to run the football. He had a big game last year against the Scarlet Knights, Jason. 117 yards and a touchdown. I thought he ran the ball with purpose against Michigan.
I just love watching this kid run. He runs angry as hell every single time he touches the ball. You can just tell that when he gets the ball, he's trying to make the most out of every single opportunity. When he gets tackled or he gets touched, he's always falling forward for another 2-3 yards. The dude just runs hard.
And you can see the tight ends even involved in that blocking game there for Keaton on the offensive line. There is 64, Hunter Nourad, who we just spoke to here on the show. You see Keaton's numbers this season. But I mentioned the tight ends and their involvement in blocking in the run game, and they've been good in that department, but particularly in the red zone. Tyler Warren and Theo Johnson have been threats all year. And when you look to get Drew Aller into a rhythm, these are two guys who need to be a focal point of that offense.
They're big targets. They do a good job of getting vertical downfield. They run really well, and they're reliable. At the end of the day, that's a quarterback's best friend as a tight end. So when you have guys that you can trust like Theo and like Tyler, who just always seems to be making those clutch plays in crunch time, when it comes to those third downs and those gotta-have-it moments, you can tell Drew's always looking for them, and they always come up clutch for him.
And Coach Franklin talked about this week the importance of those third downs. Those are, by the way, the number 2 and number 3 receivers on the team. 51 catches, 11 touchdowns, about 10 yards per reception as well this season. Well, we talked about the running game for Rutgers, not only at the running back position, but the quarterback with Gavin Wimsett. And that means linebacker play like Abdul Carter. You're really going to have to know your keys against an offense like Rutgers.
Yeah, I think when it comes to dealing with a running quarterback, I think we really saw that test against Maryland. And to be able to see the way they shut down a guy like Talia, I think gives me a lot of confidence in how they're going to handle Gavin in this game. Obviously, he's going to get his runs. They're going to have quarterback runs designed for him and stuff like that, and they're going to stuff him in the run game. But I think what's going to be the key is on those third downs, those got-to-have-it moments where, the play is breaking down. Are we going to be keyed in on him, and are we going to react fast when he decides to use his legs and get him before he can hit those first down markers?
Rutgers 129th nationally in completion percentage, 125th in passing offense. So, again, it is that run offense as we look at their players to watch. Wimsett leads the Big Ten quarterbacks with 7 rushing touchdowns, 409 rush yards, the most in a single season by a quarterback in Rutgers history. The Monangai, the running back, those are the two guys on the offensive side of the football, Jason, that make Rutgers go when they go, even though they were shut out last weekend by Iowa.
Yeah, I really think this is the type of game where if we can shut down Monangai early and show these guys that you're not going to be able to run the ball on us, it can be a very one-dimensional long game for Rutgers. So I think the biggest key to this game is really setting that tone in the first half defensively and making sure they know, look, you're going to have to drop back and you're going to have to beat us with Gavin's arm, who obviously has not been throwing the ball very well this year. And I think if that happens to be the case, it'll be a very one-sided game and a long game for Rutgers at Beaver Stadium.
And for a Greg Schiano team, they want to focus on the defensive side, creating turnovers, try to make things happen. Block kicks on special teams, always very important. So Penn State has to protect the football on offense. I know one thing, Jason, that's really a key for you as well is getting Drew Aller, using that play action game, using those tight ends, using that rush game, but finding a way to get the Penn State quarterback into a rhythm early in the football game is really important.
Yeah, I think one thing I'm going to be really looking forward to see this game is just, like you said, them making sure they get Drew Aller in a good rhythm here, not sporadic throws, not kind of randomness in the play calling, but really having a rhythm, really having a play. I expect them to come out with a good 15, 20 scripted plays in which they hit and get that confidence going, get the first downs rolling. I think from there on that the confidence and the way they play is going to take care of the rest of the game.
Yeah, and we just heard Coach Franklin talk about that in his press conference as well. It's that collaboration, the continuity on the offensive side of the football with Ty Howell, with Jaywan Sider, and trying to make sure Drew Aller is comfortable in the game really has been a focus for that collaborative unit led by Coach Franklin throughout the week this week.
Yeah, and I think that's somewhat of an underlying, storyline, obviously, that our OC is gone. We have two guys who are going to be kind of handling the play calling this week. Okay, how do we bounce back? How do we stay focused? How do we try to stay within our system as best as we possibly can without drifting off too much and getting too different on a 1 week turnaround? That's not easy for a football program to do. So I'm looking forward to see, them come out and look organized and look really sharp and really not to miss a beat.
Jason, great stuff as always. Really appreciate it. We'll catch you next week. One last weekly preview show.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys.
Former Nittany Lion Jason Cabinda joining us here. Penn State and Rutgers, the matchup coming up on Saturday at Beaver Stadium. On Sunday this past weekend, another good weekend for Nittany Lions at the next level.
Steelers cornerback Joey Porter Jr. continued a sensational rookie season, making plays on both sides of the line of scrimmage and allowed just 2 catches for 9 yards on Sunday. Ravens linebacker Odafe Owe with 4 tackles, including this strip sack against Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. Veteran Seahawks kicker Jason Myers gave a shout-out to rookie long snapper Chris Stahl after a 5-for-5 performance, including a game-winning field goal. He said it was perfect, just like he's been all year.
Our NFL highlights from this past week, and now we start to take a look at what else is going on here in Happy Valley and across the country for our Penn State sports teams. As always, you can catch those games on Big Ten Plus if they're not televised on the Big Ten Network or wherever they may be. Penn State men's hockey, big series on the road at Michigan, coming off a solid start to conference play, and women's volleyball, a pair of big home matches, the last 2 home matches of the regular season at Rec Hall on Big Ten Plus, Friday at 7 and Saturday at 7 against Michigan State and Northwestern. And speaking of women's volleyball, we're joined by their outstanding setter, Mac Podraza, here with us on the Unrivaled weekly preview show. And Mac, your team obviously coming off a great upset against number 2 Wisconsin. Take me back to the environment in Rec Hall on Saturday night. What was it like to be a part of that, especially being a part of it as a Nittany Lion this time?
Yeah, that was electric. We had over 5,000 fans, I think. Rec Hall was so loud. It's awesome having Rec on our side. They really know how to get that place rocking. But, yeah, taking down the number 2 team in the nation was pretty fun.
You've played against Wisconsin so many times. You know how good that team can be. Look, your team's had a great season, came really close against Nebraska, but to get over the hump and beat a team like Wisconsin, what can that do for you moving into this home stretch?
Yeah, it's huge. We had people firing from all cylinders. Our offense was going in every single corner, so I think having people step up when we needed them to and other people kind of step up when we haven't seen that before. So it was huge, and I think it helps boost us going into we have 4 matches left in the regular season and then into the postseason for us.
For you to get a feeling for your hitters, whether they're on the outside, Cameron Hanna, or no matter where you're going, Jess, or going into the middle, what was the process for you as a setter with so many new faces? You know, everyone's new for you for the first time to get that chemistry, get on the same page. And where do you feel like you're at now compared to maybe even just a month ago, which was a good chunk into the season?
Yeah, I think it's day by day. You know, it definitely proved to be more of a challenge than I thought it would be. I've played volleyball for 4 years in college, and then you step into a new role as a 5th-year senior with a whole new team, and it's like, wow, here we go. It's new again. But at the end of the day, it's still just volleyball, and we go back to the basics, and everybody's working together to find that chemistry. I've been saying for a while, we look good on paper, but it's going to be how do we put it together on the court, and slowly but surely we're finding that.
As this team does put it together on the court, when you're at your best, what makes this team so dangerous?
Like I said earlier, offense firing from all cylinders. I think our backcourt does a great job of covering that defense. We've been working on that all week. We picked up on that against Wisconsin. So I think just kind of keeping all of those pieces going together and kind of keeping us moving in the same direction is going to help boost us into this postseason.
You know when you start to get into late November what the stakes are. The calendar flips to December. You know what the stakes are. What's important to have success this time of year?
I think same thing that I've been saying, working
Yeah.
together, keeping that team chemistry going. I think, keeping myself as an offensive option, keeping our outside hitters going, keeping that right side Zoe Weatherington getting up in the offense, our middle's swinging away. I've got big guns, so just keeping them going.
I wouldn't want to be in the way when Zoe's up there. I mean,
You
that
need
ball.
both.
Yeah.
I'm glad that she's my block and on my side of the net.
No doubt about that. When you look at this team, and you can point to so many different, you've said it, the offense firing on all cylinders. You have so many different options to work with. When you look at the depth, how can that depth really pay off the last 2 weeks of the regular season, and then because of the matchups that you can create no matter who that really solid team is that you're facing in the postseason?
Yeah, the Big Ten is a grind. We go every day. We go all the time. Any match in the Big Ten is a tough match. So I know we're battle tested, and we've played in a tough couple 5-setters. We've come out on top in a few, and it hasn't gone our way in others. But I think just having our bench, our starting core team, all 19 of us ready to go at any given moment is huge. And we've all been battle tested together. So I know that everybody's got my back. They know I have their back, and we're all ready to go.
What can the fans mean this weekend at Rec Hall for these two huge matches?
Yeah, I mean, last weekend in Rec, let's do it big. I mean, we've had a good turnout these last couple matches, but let's end on a good note.
As you can see there on your screen, a couple of great promotions coming up this weekend, including Senior Day coming up on Saturday. Michigan State and Northwestern in town. Then Penn State goes on the road for the final 2 matches before postseason play. Rec Hall, now that you've had an opportunity to play in it all year, wearing the right colors, how would you describe playing in Rec Hall?
I mean, I started it by saying it's electric. It really is. I played with it on the opposing side of me. It was working against me, and I will say that was one of the hardest matches I've ever played in my career, still to this day. But now having Rec Hall on my back, the wrecking crew, they're the best. I think the fans going crazy after a big play. Rec Hall loves volleyball, and it's fun to be part of that wearing blue and white.
Well, it's not just because they love the sport. It's because your team is so easy to root for. You have fun out there. The team has a lot of personality, a lot of big-time weapons. Yeah, definitely. Wait, you're smiling. Okay, who's got the biggest personality on the team?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. That we do. Personality is definitely not our problem. My girl Zoe, that's a big block, but she's got a big personality to go with it.
But you're fun to root for, fun to watch, and you know that you're going to give it 110% every time out. I think that's what makes this team so dangerous. So, Mac, good luck this weekend. Good luck the rest of the way. Thanks for the time tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mac Podraza joining us here on the Unrivaled Weekly Preview Show ahead of what is a big weekend for her team. And Katie Schumacher-Colley will kick off the Penn State Coaches Show tomorrow featuring head coach James Franklin live from the field, Burger and Tap. That begins at 6 o'clock tomorrow as it continues our game week coverage, not only for a big volleyball weekend, but a big football weekend here in Happy Valley. So that's the Penn State Coaches Show tomorrow for the field and we schedule one preview show. Appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. Thursday, the Penn State Coaches Show. Then Saturday here of Penn State Athletics. We thank Mac. We thank all of our guests tonight, including former Nittany Lion for joining us here on our show this week.